don't forget to subscribe. Everyone has something from their past that they regret, wishes they could change, or just do over. Regression is a trope in a lot of mangas that simply means that a character returns to the past with their memories of the future intact. The thrill of being able to return to the past and change it is a hook that makes for some interesting and engaging stories. Our story starts high above the clouds, on a precipice known as the 10,000-mile cliff. A lone figure stands at its edge.
This place reminds me of old times, especially the days when I dreamed of becoming the god of martial arts. A dream I could not easily fulfill, but wanted to achieve. Whenever I told people about my aspirations, they would always treat me as if I was a madman. But I trained my martial arts through night and day in order to achieve this dream, as if I was crazy. While I wasn't able to become the god of martial arts, I thought my training was sufficient, but I see now, even that was not enough. Crazy demon, stop wasting time and hand over the heavenly pearl you stole from the cult. Left hand of illuminating light. Can't you see I'm talking now? What will these stories you tell change? Your end is already set. You've run well till now, but you can't get any further. You said this was the heavenly pearl, right? Should I just drop this down there? I apologize. Please continue with your story. I am adept in mind games, trickery, strategy, baiting and lies, and I'm unable to fall into honey traps. I am also an insanely good drinker, and extremely good at the light body technique. That's just what you think, especially the honey trapping. The reason you never fell for honey traps was because actually beautiful women were unable to force themselves to even act like they liked you. So we needed to try and bait you with more normal-looking women we managed to find. The entire world knows of this fact. Want me to throw it away? Sorry, continue. In order to become the god of martial arts, I became the crazy jack of all trades. That is who I am. The crazy demon. So, are you done yet? Not yet.
This taunting goes on for a bit, and eventually the crazy demon shows his true colors, takes the pill, and eats it. His pursuers are stunned, furious, and rush him all at once. He manages to defend himself against the small fry and even manages to push them back. However, when the leader of this troop steps up, despite his best effort, he is forced off the cliff. The leader of the crazy demon's pursuers realizes this a little too late as the half-conscious body of the crazy demon sinks into the abyss. As he falls, he can't help but mull over his life and, more importantly, his regrets. In what should have been his death, he sees light. Suddenly, some random person appears and begins to tell him of his situation. The powerful master explains that he will not be able to pass on as the pearl he ate contained many souls that are sticking to him and weighing him down. The crazy demon seems largely unfazed by the news. So, the sage asks him directly and with intense killing intent why he swallowed the pearl. The crazy demon senses imminent death and answers truthfully.
I didn't eat this because I wanted to eat it. I wanted to make sure the demonic cult leader wouldn't be able to eat it. I hate the demonic cult leader. He doesn't see other people as equivalent humans. If someone like him were to become stronger, I don't even want to think about it.
The sage surprisingly accepts his answers, and because of the crazy demon's truthfulness and self-sacrifice, the sage uses his power to give him a present. The crazy demon is blinded by brilliant light and wakes up in a much younger body, and the inn that he grew up in. I know I say the art is amazing in a lot of mangas, but this is definitely one of my favorites. The manga itself is funny and has great pacing, and it suddenly switches from intense brutality to a clean, almost fairy tale-like look. A lot of comedic mangas go for this sort of chibi style, or at least a softer style when switching to comedic beats. However, this manga basically never loses its incredible cleanliness and detail. In fact, the scenes that should be comedic are only enhanced by the quality of the art behind it. I personally really love this manga, and I would give it a definite 9 out of 10 skulls. Our protagonist, along with many others, wake up trapped by an invisible barrier in some sort of darkness. Suddenly, cutting through the darkness, a bright light starts to shine. Before him is some sort of radiant woman. She stands there, motionless and silent. Outside the walls, monsters begin to appear and start pounding on the barrier. Some in the crowd start to panic, some think this is just a prank, and our protagonist stands there in disbelief. He tries to recall what happened to him and remembers that he was in his house and he got a text message saying he was invited to some sort of game. He accepts the invitation and that's where his memory ends. The woman in the center bursts into flames and radiates with light as she begins to speak.
Everyone, welcome to the other world. First of all, I am thankful to all of you for accepting our invitation. You have all been chosen as the heroes who will save this dying continent. Everyone, please pay attention to what I will say from now on. It is directly related to your survival. Not all of you can go to the continent. Only a small number of individuals who successfully clear the tutorial can go to the continent. I'll say it again. The ones who have the right to go to the continent are a small number of survivors. Firstly, the area that you're all in right now is called the start point. You could think of it as a waiting room. Various supplies required for your survival are provided for you here. Water, food, and various weapons. Secondly, you can receive special classes in this world, and some individuals will also receive a trait unique to themselves. The ranks are divided into common, rare, heroic, and legendary ranks. Now, with the common rank weapons here, protect your lives. All of you have come here from different places and possess different personalities. This place was designed to maximize your personalities and aid in your growth. You will understand what I'm saying once you say status window.
All the players say status window and are able to see their skills, stats, and even personal information. As our protagonist Lee Ki-young looks at his status window, he finds that he has a unique trait, the Mind's Eye ability, an ability that allows him to see into other people's status windows. Suddenly, he can see all of the other players' status windows. He looks around at a few to gauge his own, and then looks at his overall rating. Unfortunately, the talents he possesses are quite literally the worst, and his rating only serves to bring him despair, since the result is obvious. However, Ki-young is not ready to keel over and die.
Then, everyone, I wish you luck.
With that, the barrier shatters, the monsters begin to flood in, and the people start to pick up weapons and fight. In the midst of all this, Ki-young sees someone with heroic level talents. I found it, my meat shield. The monsters begin to tear into the crowd, and Ki-young steps in front of his meat shield. He tries to buddy up with his new companion in order to get on his good side. They begin to fight their way through the swarm together, and Ki-young is satisfied as he now has a meat shield on his side. They fight off a few goblins and manage to find a huge glowing door. As they are about to exit, they see a survivor slowly being consumed by goblins. Ki-young hesitates, but still races towards him, extends his hand, and snatches the pouches he had on him. He turns and runs. His new companion protests, but reluctantly follows. Help me, save me, please. As they pass through, they find themselves in another mysterious area. What looks like an underground prison. They hole up in a small cell that seemed to be quiet and begin to assess their situation. They note how this strangely feels like a game and resolve themselves to get stronger. And suddenly, a giant cyclops peeks into their cell. It doesn't attack them immediately, and after looking at its status window, Ki-young notes that it has poor eyesight. He sees an opportunity, slowly picks up his spear, and strikes it right at him. In a fury, he stabs and stabs and stabs until the Cyclops brutally perishes. Ki-young gains a strength point for killing the monster and confirms his game theory. His meat shield now asks for Ki-young's name and introduces himself. As they finish introducing themselves, they see a girl start running towards them. Behind her is a horde of Cyclopses. Cyclopi? Whatever. As he turns to run, he takes a quick glance at the girl's status, and he is stunned to see that she has a legendary rank in magic. Ki-young decides to stay and fight. They hide behind the corner of the passage and signal the girl to run towards them. With surprising efficiency, they slay the Cyclops. However, another is upon them in an instant. As Ki-young is about to be ambushed by another Cyclops, a single sword slashes through them all. Ki-young looks, trying to figure out what happened, and sees someone in what appears to be some sort of fated encounter. He looks at the man's stats, and he sees that he is a regressor. He looks at his stats, and sees that all of them are heroic and above. The overall rating of him is amazing too, and a stark contrast to Ki-young's own rating. They all introduce themselves and have a bit of awkward tension as they are amidst a battlefield. He says that they are building a camp of survivors and invites Ki-young over. Ki-young definitely does not want the burden of these other people, but getting on the Regressor's good side is way too good of an opportunity to pass up. As they talk, Ki-young notices the girl crying in the corner and goes to talk to her. He helps her up, trying his best to win her over, and it is a little too successful. The Regressor seems to notice her and is strangely happy to see her. Ki-young steps back and takes a look at the situation he has crafted. An ally with immense potential as a mage, and a veteran on his second life. He can't help but think that he's found some real treasures, and that he is going to take full advantage of them. For me, what really stands out is the hook of this story. In most regression stories, the protagonist is the regressor, but in this case, the protagonist is far from it. As the plot progresses, we see more twists and turns pop up, and what I can really appreciate about this story is how very clearly it defines story beats, such as Ki-young encountering the people who were his former subordinates in the previous life. The plot progression feels extremely natural, and gives the impression that it's all coincidence, but fated to happen at the same time. This consistency of important events, in combination with the limited information and the nuance of how the plot will lead to those events, constantly leaves the reader and Ki-young guessing. This is a story I would recommend for the plot alone. I give it a solid 7 out of 10 skulls. The Runkandel family. A renowned sword family whose members are born with both a strong physique and exceptional talent, and they have ruled over half the world with overwhelming power. Combat, conquer, control. These are the 3 virtues. The law of the jungle is everything here. Our protagonist, Jin Runkandel, is the youngest of the family. In the selection ceremony, where each child's future is predicted, Jin chose the sword of the founder of the family, and was destined to become the patriarch of the Runkandel family. His future was bright, full of fame and fortune. However, Jin quickly found out that he had 0 talent for swordsmanship. He was known as the Runkandel's embarrassment, their disgrace, someone who was far below the standard and the average member of the family, the worst of the Runkandels. For better or for worse, Jin kept holding on to hope. However, his siblings weren't merciful enough to let him keep it. In spite of the ostracization and the harassment, he still kept at it, believing one day his efforts would be rewarded. But when he reached the age of 25, he was banished from the family. His efforts were only commendable enough to spare his own life. After being banished, he began to wander around the world. Eventually, he encountered someone whom he could call master, and gained new confidence as he developed a hidden talent. Despite it being a taboo in the Runkandel family, he has an extraordinary talent with magic. He studied magic for years and became accustomed to its ways and theories. A few years into his study, he is onset by a sudden vision. This strange entity identifies itself as Soldere, master of all shadows. He offers Jin a contract, It will grant him Soldere's power as well as a few other abilities, such as the ability to negate curses. As the entity known as Soldere says that, it notices that someone seems to have had a grudge against Jin, and that too from an early age. This curse, known as Bladed Illusion, suppresses one's talent for the sword, a death sentence in the Runkendel family. Soldere breaks Jin's curse, satisfying their own curiosity, and says that they'll be watching Jin as he grows into an excellent magic swordsman. Jin is released from his vision and immediately grabs the nearest sword he has. It was just as Soldere said. Each time Jin swung the sword, he was able to reach new heights. As he swings his sword in ecstasy, the worst dunce of the Runkendel family is officially erased. Jin's hard work has finally come to fruition. Meanwhile, a band of armored warriors seems to be approaching their location. Jin wakes up, his bloody body covered in rubble. He looks around for anyone, his master, Soldere, anyone. As he lays trapped, he can't help but think, if he was going to die like this, why was he given a chance in the first place? As his consciousness slips, it immediately wakes in a field of grass. He looks around and sees various members of his family amidst a field of swords. At its center, the sword of the founder of the Runkendel family, Barisada. He realizes that he has come back to the selection ceremony as his 1-year-old self. He looks to the swords and goes to Barisada, this time armed with knowledge of the future and Soldere's power. He chooses the sword intentionally, intent on changing his destiny. I'm not really sure what about this manga makes it so good. The amazing art and visual effects for the battles really help catch my eye, and the plot really helps me feel engaged. I also really appreciate that despite how overwhelmingly powerful the Runkendel family is, it never feels like Jin can just blow through all of his enemies. I really enjoy settings like these, and I love a classic fantasy story. However, it's not for everyone, so I would give it a solid 7 out of 10 skulls.
Life is pain. There's no way to run away. From there, we have no other choice but to accept fate and struggle to survive somehow. Even if you find God and resent him, he won't listen. God is just a bystander. No matter what I look like, he's not interested. I'm the only one who can change this fucking fate. Struggle until the end. Until the end of the end. The way we live is different, but the end of our life here is similar. A desperate death. Sometimes, living requires more courage than dying.
Don't scatter! It's aiming at the ones who are away! Don't let it move first!
Our main character and his allies surround and confront this alien monstrosity. Meito freezes the legs of this creature, and 2 of their heaviest hitters, Stefan and Wade, slice its arms off. Seeing an opportunity, everyone else rushes in. Our protagonist tries to warn them, but it's too late as tentacles shoot out of its wounds, butchering the people who rushed in. The remaining forces are stunned, and our protagonist has no choice but to take care of it himself. He sizes up the distance and realizes he can't hold out for long. Activating a skill called Heist, he dashes through the tentacles without a scratch. He reaches the monster, and suddenly, it opens an eye it's been keeping closed. An explosion rings out. He activates the ability of the sword, and in a clean slice, with all of his strength, the alien is split in half. Immediately, our protagonist instructs the survivors to heal their wounds, and says that he will take care of the souls. As he is discussing the battle and future plans, a sword sinks into his head. Jung-hyuk immediately responds, but so do the traitors who have planned this. Wade rushes in and slices off his arm. He asks why, and Wade responds that they decided to share his soul and are going to develop their independence. Jung-hyuk responds and calls them fools and warns them that they too will share a similar fate. He looks and sees his allies, Meito and Stefan, also being dealt with. As they slowly surround him, getting ready to finish him off, Jung-hyuk decides that he will not go down without a fight. He bites one of their necks, With his remaining arm, he slices another's head off. As another head goes flying, a sword pierces him from behind. In a rage, he swings his blade and decapitates yet another person. That is, until his remaining arm is cut off. And finally, Wade, with the final strike, cuts Jung Hyuk's head off. Slowly, the consciousness fades from his mind. However, in another instant, he wakes up.
This hell, which we cannot escape forever, does not even give me the perception of death.
Well, if that ain't a hook, I don't know what is. The little bit of mystery with the skills and souls is amazingly sprinkled in there. The art is perfect for this as well. The grim and gritty and rough style is perfect for the tone of this story and its brutality. Speaking of brutality, it is so brutal. So much gore. This manga does an amazing job at making sure you have no idea who survives. The sheer amount of death and unpredictability make it a constant cliffhanger. The monsters and the situations are all so unique and interesting that even regressing provides only bits and pieces of information. Nothing is overpowered here but the monsters. Out of all the mangas today, this one is definitely my favorite. This gets an amazing 9 out of 10 skulls. In this little village, the people go about their day as usual. However, loud noises begin to disturb some people around. Some villagers come to a traditional estate and ask what is going on. The guard explains that the young master is in the midst of a walk. Another rumble on the ground leaves the villager in doubt. The guard opens the door and shows the young master taking a walk, or rather a few steps. The young master loses his balance and his guard rushes to his side.
Young master!
Fuck! I told you not to come in! The guard meekly turns around and gives him privacy. The young master slowly gets up, determined not to let his physicality stop him. He takes another step, a deep breath, and pushes it too far. My neck. My head. The young master falls and rips the back of his pants wide open. He lands with a heavy thud, and his guard immediately rushes to his side. I need to save the Murim, though.
My name is Jin, and I've returned to the past to save the Murim. What nonsense am I talking about? While things look peaceful now, in the near future, the Murim will fall into chaos. The minion of chaos. As soon as he appeared, he united the unorthodox Murim and dyed the central plane in blood. All the sects worked together to fight him, but were completely destroyed. Come to think of it, he's pretty incredible. Uniting the Murim isn't something anyone could just do. In any case, I lost my parents because of the chaos he caused. I lived however I wanted, like a good-for-nothing. But one day, I met my masters. I thought my life was finally taking a turn for the better, but I was greatly mistaken.
Save me! Someone save me! A beggar is killing me! Please don't come any closer! Stay there! Don't come over here! Save me! Save me, you fucking bastard!
Give me food. Fire.
Fuck, you fucker!
Fucking con them. Since they want me to stop the minions of chaos, they did whatever they wanted to me. But they said I ought to suffer since I was young. Those sturdy muscles. At the end of the hellish training, I learned all of the martial arts of my masters. Just like that, I was half forced to go back to the past because of my master's plan. Well, that's fine, since I'll just live a comfortable life after I take down the minion of chaos. But I didn't think I would end up with this mess of a body. Unbelievable that I can't even walk when I'm supposed to be training.
As the doctors discuss what to do with the young master, he starts to think of the timeline he needs to stick to and what he needs to get. The first thing he needs to get before the minion of chaos is a rare ginseng. He tries to remember when he's supposed to get it. In 6 years? When does he get it? The doctors continue to argue, and the young master tries to think. Fuck. 6 months? I only have 6 fucking months, you old farts! I love this manga. It's the right combination of cool and comedic. It has an amazing, fantastical art style that's well suited to the Murim setting, and it doesn't detract from the silliness of the story. I would definitely recommend this as a great all-rounder with a fun hook, great art, and a cool plotline. This is still a bit of a power fantasy, which may put some off, so I would say this is a great 7 out of 10 skulls. That's all for today. Happy reading!